welcome back to a brand new video on the channel, guys. So what I have for you guys today is going to be another episode of the Championship Roundup, and left in the Championship now, guys, we only have one game remaining, but there is still a lot to play for. And this weekend in the Championship we had a lot of drama go down. We've got a lot of talking points to go ahead and discuss in today's video, guys. So as always, I'll be very interested to hear what did you guys make of this weekend in the Championship. Make sure you do leave a comment in the comments down below, as like I said, we got a lot to talk over. So after this weekend in the Championship, guys, going into the final weekend, we've got two sides who are still battling it out for automatic promotion, two sides who are still gunning for that 6th spot in the Championship and hoping to get into the playoffs. And as well as that, at the bottom of the table, we've still got 5 sides who could still be relegated. So there's going to be an absolutely mad final weekend in the Championship. So before we do go ahead and get into any of the individual games, guys, I will include your guys' comments on screen now. So if any of you guys did successfully manage to get any of your score predictions correct, then I will include your comment on screen now. Fair play to everyone who did get a score prediction correct. It was a fairly hard weekend to go ahead and predict. You know, we had a lot of really weird results this weekend. I managed to go ahead and get one of mine correct. That was the Aston Villa against Derby game, so not the worst weekend from me. But without further ado, guys, let's go ahead and talk over some of these games. So we'll start it out by talking about the Friday night game between Fulham and Sunderland, and this game actually could have had huge implications on Fulham's promotion season, of course. They went up against Sunderland, and it was Sunderland who took the lead in this one. A very nice finish as well from Asoro, managed to see them go 1-0 up, and you know, you could see a lot of nervy faces around Fulham after that. Then though, a nice move down the right hand side led to Lucas Piazon going ahead and making it 1-1, and then Fulham continued to push and push in this game, and then of course it was Mitrovic who popped up with the winner in the 76th minute. His goals for Fulham this season have just been absolutely vital, of course. On Friday night, that did then take Fulham up to 2nd in the Championship. However, with Cardiff also winning this weekend, that now puts them back into 3rd. So it's looking, you know, more than likely that it will be the playoffs this season for Fulham, unless Cardiff do slip up on the last day of the season. But interestingly enough, after this game on Sunday, we've actually seen Chris Coleman leave Sunderland. He was released from his contract, as Ellis Short has said he will be selling the club. He's agreed to sell the club if that all goes through with the EFL. There's also been reports coming out as well that Ellis Short has agreed to write off all the debt for Sunderland going into League One, and of course for the new owners to come in. So if that is the case, then there's reasons to look up, I suppose, for Sunderland going into next season. And I'd be interested to hear from some Sunderland fans, who would you like to see that squad in League One built around with the current players you've got at the moment? But in terms of Fulham, a little bit disappointing considering that Cardiff also won this weekend, but really now they can only get their job done and win at the weekend to just stand a chance of 2nd, really. And it's getting in, so Aston Villa going up against Derby County, and this one in the end finished as a 1-1 draw. How Aston Villa only scored 1 goal in this game, I have absolutely no idea. It was actually Derby that took the lead as well through Cameron Jerome. He's been in some very nice goal-scoring form lately. Definitely a player to watch out if Derby do go ahead and sneak into the playoffs, of course. A win for Derby in this one would have secured their place in the playoffs, but it was Graben who managed to pull it back for Villa. But myself being a Preston fan, of course, I was rooting for Villa to go ahead and win this game to let Preston have a chance of sneaking in there on the last day of the season, and Villa just wasted so many opportunities in this game. I have no idea how they only scored 1, but a point for Derby in this one doesn't quite secure their place in the playoffs yet, and of course they're going to have to pick up a result against Barnsley on the last day of the season, which that's not going to be too easy. And speaking of Barnsley, they put in a fantastic performance to go ahead and claim a 2-0 home victory over Brentford, of course. Brentford in this game, they needed to go ahead and pick up all 3 points for them to keep their playoff hopes alive, but really, they really underperformed for this one. You know, Barnsley were the side who were up for it in this one. They were winning all the second balls in this one, and a lot of Brentford's build-up play was very sloppy, actually, which Barnsley were just being very tenacious with them. It was Kiefer Moore who went ahead and opened the scoring for Barnsley, sort of against the run of play. It was from, I don't know how it went in the end, to be honest. It was definitely a cross, but it managed to loop over the goalkeeper and make it 1-0 to Barnsley. And then their magic man at the moment, Ollie McBurney, managed to go ahead and make it 2-0 after the break to go ahead and wrap up all the 3 points. With some of the other chances they had, they probably could have gone to score more than the 2 goals, but in and around that bottom 3 at the moment, it is incredibly tight. Like I said at the start of the video, there are still 5 sides who could be relegated on the last day of the season. So it is going to be incredibly dramatic, and Barnsley have an away trip against Derby on the last day, so that game's going to have a lot riding on it. The next game saw Burton take a huge step towards survival with a 2-0 home victory over Bolton Wanderers. Things for Bolton at the moment are just going from bad to worse, of course. Really, survival, it has been taken out of their hands this season, Bolton. In this game, they were incredibly sloppy defensively. 2 quick-fire goals from Atpan and Akins managed to go ahead and wrap it up for Burton Albion. You know, defensively lately, Bolton have just looked really shoddy. You know, earlier on in the season, that was always something that you could rely on for Bolton, really. You know, defensively, they look quite stable, but the goals have dried up and individual mistakes have led to their downfall, really. Going into the last day of the season, the only positive slant I could throw towards Bolton is they probably have the easiest game, actually. They're going up against Nottingham Forest at home, and when you consider that all the sides above them who could still be relegated, they're all playing teams who are at the top of the table, who all still have something to play for. So Burton, Barnsley, Birmingham and Reading all have very tough fixtures on the last day of the season. So really, Bolton are just going to have to beat Forest on the last day and hope results go their way now. The next game saw Cardiff take a huge step towards automatic promotion with a 2-0 away victory over Hull City. Of course, Hull in their last game went ahead and drew 5-5 with Bristol City, but in this game, they just looked like they were having a bit of a hangover for it, really. Going forward, they weren't really at it in this game, definitely not as tenacious as they were in that game against Bristol City, and they actually finished this game without a shot on target, but it was Cardiff's captain, Morrison, who popped up with both the goals for this one. The first one coming from a set piece, and the second, a very nice finish, actually. A very composed finish from the centre-back, but of course, going into the last day of the season, this was a vital 3 points for Cardiff, as of course, automatic promotion is in their hands, of course. If they go ahead and win on the last day against Reading, they will have secure promotion to the Premier League. So all to play for on the final day, a massive 3 points for them now. Then the next game saw Norwich go ahead and claim a 2-1 home victory over Leeds, of course. Both these two sides not really having anything to play for anymore. However, it was Wes Hoolahan's last game for Norwich City, so of course, with him being there for I think around 10 years now at the club, they'll be wanting to put a show on for him. And in fairness to him, he was involved with both of the goals for Norwich. First of all, he managed to go ahead and pop up with the equaliser just before half-time. Took a pretty big deflection, but even so, he got on the score sheet, and then he went ahead and set up the second goal, the winner in the end, for Josh Murphy. And so, a decent 3 points for Norwich in the end. You could sort of tell that both sides didn't really have anything to play for. The goal that Leeds scored, actually, from Calvin Phillips was a very nice finish, but overall, quite disappointing from them, as Leeds' season has sort of tailed off towards the end. The next game went ahead and finished as a 0-0 draw, similar to Hull, actually. Bristol City in this one having a bit of a hangover from their 10-goal thriller in the last week, as going forward they weren't really at it in this one. You know, they had a couple of chances. Jeju, I think, had one. Marlon Pack had one as well, but realistically the game was pretty much controlled by Forest. Going forward, I was quite surprised actually that they didn't get onto the score sheet in this one with some of the chances that they did carve out. In the second half as well, they also had a penalty, but it was well saved by Frank Fielding in the end. Quite a weak penalty actually from Lee Tomlin. The next game saw QPR go ahead and claim a very impressive 3-1 home victory over Birmingham, and this of course does Birmingham no favours at all in their hopes for survival this season, especially when you consider that on the last day of the season Birmingham have got to play Fulham, so there's no guarantees in that one, and with Birmingham currently being sat 2 points above the relegation zone, they're just going to be praying that results go their way on the final day of the season. But in terms of this game, it was actually Birmingham who started quite brightly actually. It was Che Adams who opened the scoring for them, and then only a minute later, QPR managed to go ahead and equalise through Asai Samuel. Really sloppy defending for Birmingham to switch off like that, you know. Since Gary Monk has come in, they've been a lot more resilient, but in this game, a couple of those mistakes seeping back into their game. And then in the second half, QPR managed to turn the game on its head and then wrap it up in the last minute with Matt Smith making it 3-1. Really disappointing for Birmingham. They'll have been hoping to go ahead and secure safety in this game. They've not managed to do that, and I'd be interested to hear from some Birmingham fans, how do you think the final day is going to go? And speaking about a side who could have secured their safety this weekend but didn't, the same could be said for Reading, who went ahead and lost 4-0 to Ipswich Town, of course. Going up against a side like Ipswich, a team who doesn't have anything to play for. I was really banking on Reading to go ahead and, you know, go on and claim this victory and go ahead and secure their survival for the season, but that was not the case. This game was actually tied at 0-0 until the 71st minute, and then as soon as Waghorn opened the scoring for Ipswich, Reading just absolutely collapsed in this game. The defending for pretty much all of these goals was just absolutely shambolic from Reading, and since, you know, Aston has left, I have seen, you know, subtle improvements from this Reading side, but none of that was on show in this one. It was an embarrassing performance from them, and once again, when you consider that Reading have Cardiff to play on the final day of the season, they're just going to be praying that results go their way now. Our next game saw my side, Preston, go ahead and claim a 1-0 away victory at Sheffield United, and this could be a massive result in our season, as of course we still have everything to play for going into the final day. Currently we are sat 2 points behind Derby County, so it's still going to be a massive ask for us to go ahead and make it to the playoffs, but for us to still have something to play for come the final day, I mean, that's all you can ask for, really. In this game though, Preston had to be incredibly resilient in our defence, really. Sheffield United, they were pushing us. Declan Rudd made some fantastic saves, and our back four in general were all absolutely superb. Greg Cunningham, in my opinion, being the standout performance. But the goal in the end did come in the second half from Alan Brown, a player who's just been in majestic form this season. It was Josh Harrop who had a long-ranging shot. Blackman, the Sheffield United keeper, parried it into the path of Brown, and then he managed to go ahead and snatch that up. But like I said, towards the end of the game, Sheffield United were really pushing forward. We stood strong to that test though, and now going into the final day, Preston are playing Burton Albion, and I mean, that's just going to be a massive game, really, as of course Derby are playing Barnsley as well. So two sides going for the playoffs, going up against two sides who need to win to stay up. It's going to be a spectacular final day. On this game then, so Wolves go ahead and draw 0-0 with Sheffield Wednesday in what was a little bit of an anti-climax of a game in the end, you know. Of course, Wolves at the end of this one went ahead to lift the Sky Bet Championship trophy. Of course, they've gone on to deserve that this season, but talking about this game individually, not the best from Wolves. You know, they had most of the ball, really, and they did create some very good opportunities, actually. I have no idea how the score remained 0-0 in the end, but you have to give quite a bit of credit to Sheffield Wednesday. Going forward, they couldn't really get anything going, you know, they couldn't really break down Wolves, but defensively, they did stand firm for a lot of the game, and Dawson, their goalkeeper, made a couple of vital saves for them as well. But of course, like I said, at the end of this game, Wolves went ahead to lift the trophy. I thought it was a nice touch as well for their players to go ahead and put on the Carl Hakimi shirts at the end to pay their respects for him, of course, currently battling against acute leukemia. But for this game as a whole, Sheffield Wednesday, you know, going into next season, I'll be interested to see how that squad actually functions when they've got, you know, a full squad ready in for next season. As for Wolves though, they're currently on 99 points, and I would be incredibly surprised if they don't get over the 100-point mark, especially when you consider they've got Sunderland on the last day of the season. Then our last game to go ahead and talk over, that actually saw Middlesbrough go ahead and secure their place in the playoffs with a 2-0 home victory over Millwall, and this result now pretty much rules out Millwall from going ahead and making it into the playoffs. Currently they are 3 points behind Derby County, but Derby have a vastly superior goal difference. So overall, Millwall have had a phenomenal season. You can't take anything away from them for that. But in terms of this game, Middlesbrough, they were the deserved winners, actually. A couple of defensive blunders from Millwall led Middlesbrough to getting into this one, especially the second one, which Johnny Howson managed to go ahead and tuck away. It was a mistake from the Millwall goalkeeper Archer, who looked to go ahead and catch the ball, but it just seemed to drop it, and it fell to the path of Johnny Howson, who was Johnny on the spot for that one. But overall, Middlesbrough looking like a quite strong case, actually, for the playoffs at the moment. And I'd be interested to hear from you guys. Out of Middlesbrough and Aston Villa, who will be playing each other in that 4th versus 5th playoff, who would you back as the favourites going into that one? I'd be interested to know. So there, guys, were all the matches that did take place this weekend. So like I said, make sure you do leave a comment in the comments down below as to what do you think will happen on the final day. But in terms of my goal of the weekend, a few contenders for this one, but myself, I'm going to give it to Calvin Phillips of Leeds for his nice half volley goal against Norwich City. For about 20-25 yards out, it was a very nice finish from him in the end. And then in terms of my result of the weekend, once again, quite a few contenders for this one, but as I gave it Burton last week, this weekend, my result of the weekend, I'm going to give it to Barnsley for going ahead and beating Brentford by 2-0. Of course, Brentford in that game still had everything to play for, gunning for the playoffs, but Barnsley took them down with a very composed 2-0 victory in the end. So like I said guys, that will now wrap it up for this video, so thank you so much for watching. So if you guys have enjoyed, make sure you do leave a like. It is always massively appreciated. Make sure you do leave your comments in the comments down below as to what you made of this weekend's championship action. But apart from that guys, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one.